So when you have a woman speak for a woman, it goes a long way. But because we don't have enough women, some of us suffer these defeats, and then we move up slowly. It took me a long time. I'm telling you, I used to go to do experiment on Sunday too. I will feed my family. I will go to church. When I come back from church, I will take my car. I will go and hide my car at the back of Imrat. So I was committed to my family. My family was first. The work was much, but my family was first. So I never wanted even say I want to be a professor at this time, or I want to become something. No, my own was just do your work well and keep doing it. And I kept doing it. Somehow the rewards came. Now that we support you through thick when you are in science. If you don't have that partner when you finish the lab, you are going to be miserable in your house. That's courage.
Hey guys, welcome to this particular show where we'll be looking at the truth in research conversation with a very renowned professor, Professor Falusi Adeyinka Gladys. She's going to be sharing her experience, telling us some of the information that are actually very, very imperative and important for early career researchers in Africa and in other low and middle income countries. So it's actually a massive pleasure to have her on the show. She's going to be telling us how she navigated from sickle cell research to global research and some of the impact she's been making. So you can actually go out and check out on Wikipedia Professor Falusi Gladys, and you're definitely going to see a lot of outstanding things that she's been doing. So Prof, it's actually a pleasure to have you on the Truth in Research conversation. So Prof, can you start by telling us about yourself?
I'm Professor Adeyinka Gladys Falusi. I come from Ekiti State of Nigeria. I trained at one of the best secondary schools in Nigeria, Queen's School, Ede. Also trained at the best university in Nigeria, University of Ibadan. Worked for many, many years at the University of Ibadan. And went all over the world to several places to do work and got accolades and recognition from my peers from all over the world. So here it is, Adeyinka Falusi.
Welcome very much, Prof. That's really very outstanding. So, Prof, can you just briefly tell us how you moved from sickle cell research? Like, what was your entry into sickle cell research and what really inspired that?
Okay. Well, my entry into research should be the thing. How did I get interested in research? Yes. I got interested right from my secondary school. From my secondary school, I was inquisitive because we always had that air was made up of something else. You know, you just thought air was air. But here was I hearing that it's more than just ordinary air. It's made up of certain molecules. And then they will talk about oxygen, they will talk about nitrogen, talk about carbon dioxide. And this made you excited that what are you analyzing in ordinary air? And we wanted to look further. So when I got to Queen's School, which was one of the very best, second best in the Nigeria at the time, yes, I was inquisitive about knowing more about science. Unfortunately, I was put in the science class. So that stimulated my interest in science right from the beginning. And I have stories of how I was doing an experiment of gadget and I almost blew up in my lab in my fourth year in secondary school. So I've always been inquisitive. And then when I left there, I came to UI. And coming to UI, we were well taught in UI. The chemistry lab was one of the best. You wanted to know more every day. And you had eminent teachers that taught you science and you were very interested. So after that, I moved over to do my IT at Lever Brothers. When I was in Lever Brothers, I found out that you could really do research. It was very interesting to me because I was told to look at the components of Omo and Soft. What are the special ingredients that made you get good results on washing with Omo and Soft? And this was organized by Lever Brothers of London. Unknowing to me, I was just doing my work the way it was. We were taught in UI. And my result came out as the best. As the best in Lever Brothers for that year. I was the only girl among six boys and one girl. And I went to the lab. I chose to go to the lab because of the interest. I was put in personnel, being a woman. But I said, no, I'm not going to personnel. I am going to the lab. That was the second day after I got there. And the manager was surprised. The director was surprised. And they took me to the lab. And I found it beautiful. I enjoyed myself because it was like titrating in UI. And I enjoyed it. But I didn't know the result was important to anybody. So I left. And when we finished, we came back to UI. But on recruitment, they looked for me and said, your result was the best in Liver Brothers London. They needed me to come to Liver Brothers to work. But at that time, we wanted to get married. So I didn't stay. I went and got married, came back many years after.
Yeah.
When I came back, I had this interest in science. And I was already left behind by my peers because I went for about 4 or 5 years. I wasn't reading anything. I was just doing work. I was just doing laboratory work and all that because my interest in science was there. And when I came back, I now said I wasn't going to micromanage in chemistry. I was going to apply the science that I had to human beings. So that's how I moved from from chemistry. Fortunately, I met a rewarding and accepting arena with hematology in UCH through Professor Luzato, who brought me in. And when he brought me in, he introduced me again to science of human beings. And we started working on hemoglobinopathies. Hemoglobinopathies means abnormal hemoglobins in human beings. So it was then my interest developed in the area of hemoglobinopathies and specifically on sickle cell disease, because sickle cell disease affects a large number of people in Nigeria. Because Nigeria has the highest number, the highest incidence, the worst prognosis of sickle cell disease in the world. So my interest developed in that area, that I would like to find out, why are these things like this? Why are we the worst? Why do we have the worst genetics? Why do we have the largest number in the whole world? And so my interest became much more, and I was happy to have fallen in love with that area.
Honestly, Prof, that's really very outstanding, considering how you developed the impact, how you developed the passion from your secondary school down to the university, moving from one discipline to another. I think it's something that is definitely going to stir up somebody out there who is thinking about even getting started, knowing that you don't always have to stick to one path, and there is possibilities for you to always understand that some other areas, when you also explore it, can also add and contribute to your own insight. Now, if I want to ask you a question right now, how do you think your research currently has shaped the real world impact? Looking at the laurels of honors that you have, even checking you on Wikipedia was very, very astonishing. Like, looking at all the things you've done, can you just tell us?
Thank you. I give glory to God because many doors have opened to me. God opened doors for me. I don't know. I guess I'm a favorite child of God. Yes. God opened those doors. And this translation of my interest in sickle cell disease was born out of empathy for those people who have sickle cell disease. I don't have it in my family. But if I look in my extended family, they are there. Later on, I knew that one of my aunties had 2 children out of 6 that had sickle cell disease. But that was much later when I was studying sickle cell disease. I didn't know in my childhood that anything about it. So when I developed my interest, it wasn't because somebody was in my family or because I had plenty of money to do things, but I just fell in love with that area because I thought, why are these people under so much pressure? Why are they always ill? What can we do from science-based studies to help them to feel better? So because of the empathy, I was in the laboratory doing research on confounding factors of sickle cell disease. That was what I was given to do. What types of sickle cell disease do we have? It's a family. It's a global family and differs from one place to the other. We have different types in Eastern Saudi Arabia from what we have here in Nigeria. The Western Saudi Arabia is different. The India type is different. Our own is the worst type. And it is because of our population, because of malaria, because of poverty, and some other things, we have the highest number, the worst type. So I was interested in finding out, why do we have this worst type? But when I now started to see my results, which made me very happy that, it means I can really do research in this area. I learned myself from leaving the laboratory and going to see the people. I will go to Oni Memorial. I will go to Yemetu. Just go and see them and try to understand the theory that I was learning in UCH, in College of Medicine, with what the people were experiencing. So I was able to lend myself to that. And Professor Tomori, my favorite professor and mentor in UI, in College of Medicine, was my director then. He said, why don't you take this your thing that you are doing to a bigger scope? He advised me. And so I formed the very first club that was going to be looking at this in the community. And not just taking care of patients, but looking at how it affects the community. That is, looking not only SS people, looking at AS people. How do these blood things work in these different people? And then how do they interact when the S is bigger or when it's smaller? And that was the research I was to be doing. And I enjoyed it so much. I continued to dwell in it. And then I found there were others that would not even show up as SS, but they were different. They will show as SS on the system, but when you looked at the patients, they did not have any sickle hemoglobin. Those were called hemoglobin D, and I was one of the first people to look at that side. There's something called hemoglobin D Ibadan. It was named after somebody who worked before me, Professor Alan. He first found it, and then when I came, he found it in one person. When I came, I studied the family. With that D, you have SD, AD, SD, multiple. And this was something that was novel. Unfortunately, as I was doing my work, a lot of what I did were novel in Nigeria. That is how my work was able to translate from my little self to the national stage, because the thalassemia, when I looked at the thalassemia, which is another hemoglobinopathy, it's not like sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is a deficiency of the type of hemoglobin. The thalassemia is a deletion of one part of it. We've never shown that it was present. In Nigeria, they say it was not here. That's when I came in. And when I came in, the Lord blessed me to go to Oxford and to work with this thing. And we found that it's not only that it's present, it was in 39% of our population. And that broke the door. That opened the door. Everybody wanted to see what I was doing. And that was the door to making my work relevant from Nigeria to Africa, into the world. Because then I went to East Africa freely, South Africa, Paris, and talked about ethics of research. I was known for that. And the University of Ibadan also gained a law class for the university. I made the ethics good conduct of research, which they are still using till today. So this side of my work again, as science in the best way possible.
Thank you so much for that. So, Prof, now can you tell me what are some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
Okay. Thank you very much. Being a woman scientist is not the easiest. A woman researcher is not the easiest. But when you are focused, when you have the joy of doing that work, it will be surmountable somehow. So mine has been a long story. I went through a lot of things. I had a lot of challenges. Number one was that when I moved from the chemistry I said to hematology in the College of Medicine, where 90% or 90% are medical doctors and nurses. And then I suddenly bring my science and come there. There were a few people who went before me, but it was not. People, do you think you can cope? Do you think you can do it? But once you have that grace to perform, and your work will speak for you. So in my own case, I had a lot of to do the work. You had experience. You had pressure to want to go home because you are married, you have children. You have to go to your husband, you have to go to your children. We had them because as a way to be doing science. I once went to change that night at the College of Medicine. But because I was lucky with good husband, Professor Falusi, Superman, told me from you to 12 midnight my parents because he knew that this something. I told him I said back night, and he said that I'm the house. You see, because my professor also believed in me. By the time I was entering that laboratory, my professor was in that lab. Change it for me. I will not be able to come from UI to come and change the experiment at 12 midnight. She's in the house already. Okay. And from that day that I heard that this woman, when you had the talent, I had the talents. You don't face any harassment. I didn't face any harassment. But some people were not that welcoming when I got to UC. And we have to have a back. You know things that we get to hire papers, man, because you do clubs and you discuss. You don't go to evening club to discuss. That's where you want to be dean, you want to be this, you will finish everything in the night. So some of us women were never able to get to those positions. Never aspired to do anything than just be my lab person. Because if you try and do that, they will say, oh, she's going out in the night. You can't go. So there were many things that we will not call them challenges, but we didn't even try to have them. But problems we had because you cannot be attached to your male mentors. So you try to be as new, find male mentors, find some male mentors who are, there's nothing that can cause you any problem with that. So those are part of the subtle problems. But in my own case, I didn't have a problem of that because my professors were people and good mentors. They helped me and it was easy for me. But there is a lot of underrepresentation at the meetings where women are projected. So you men, the woman. It's also to come there is very difficult. So some of us didn't have people to project us fast enough. By the time I went into Academy of Science, people were asking, are you not there already? But nobody to project me. Until Professor Mrs. Taylor, late Mrs. Taylor, said, yes, you this girl, you are going to get L'Oreal UNESCO, go and apply. Go to Academy of, your work is good, go there. So when you have a woman speak for a woman, it goes a long way. But because we don't have enough women, some of us suffer these defeats. And then we move up slowly. It took me a long time. I'm telling you, from 1973, when I came back to my work, I'm professor 2000. Whereas my mates became men 4 years, sometimes 5 years they come. But because you're a woman, there is so much you have to do at home. There is so much. So I was committed to my family. My family was first. The work was much, but my family was first. So I never wanted even say I want to be a professor at this time or I want to become something. No, my own was just do your work well and keep doing it. And I kept doing it. Somehow the rewards came. The rewards came to me for those who came. So but I lost my thesis at a point, which was a terrible for me. I lost everything that I had done for about 3 years. After starting, then somebody and we could not find trace of the notebook or any, and all over again. And that is already with how many children in my home?
Yeah.
So many children already, like 4. Then I started all over.
Yes.
But God has been on my side.
Yes.
So I was able to mend those challenges. He mended the challenges for me. And I was able to overcome.
That's very, very outstanding, Prof. Honestly, like just going through your story, it's really very transformational. And already I'm sure that most of our listeners career researchers, early career researchers who have that part of inventing, people who have that really strong desire of doing something very remarkable. Listening to your story, it's kind of personally, I would say that I've really learned a lot of things just listening to you. And Prof, you recently backed the Hallmarks Labor Award, which is very, very outstanding. Now, I want to ask you, let's assume there is somebody in Africa, or there's maybe a young person in Africa who is just currently maybe clinched on social media, or maybe the person has interest in research, looking at all the laurels, looking at all the achievements, looking at some of the significant impact you've made in science, and the dozens of publications that have really informed decision making. I want to ask you this question: what advice do you really have for an early career researcher? What conversation do you think you should be having with that person? What trajectory. What action, I'm just looking for the right words to paint that, what action do you want that particular student or the early career researcher who is just somewhere in Africa, they don't know their path, but looking at what all you've done, where do you think we can come in?
Thank you very much. I would take a day. I've even told one of them today who spoke with me for about 30 minutes that science is rewarding, but it has a later reward. It's not something you start and you immediately start to get the reward, but you have to be long suffering. The first thing is that you got to be hardworking. You can't be a lazy person and want to lie down and want to be lying down. It's not possible because you are constantly on your feet. Yes. And that sharpens you up. It makes you ready and agile because you have to be in the laboratory. You must be ready to work hard. Hard work. You have to be on your feet. You are not a lazy person. You are not somebody sloppy. You can't be sloppy. You can't be lazy. You can't be draggy. You got to be smart in your brain and your body. Hard work, diligence, attention to details. Some of those attention to details, sometimes some people will clean it off because they will think that this thing is different. When there is an outlier in your result, don't hide it. Don't change it. Don't clean it off. Don't correct it to something that it is not. Just put it as you see it. That is called truthfulness and honesty in research. If you don't do that, it may be that one you are cleaning off or the one you are changing that is going to change your life to a bad one. Because you may see something that only that experiment will show you that there is this one and nobody else has gotten it. So just put it as it is. I've had that on an occasion when I was doing thalassemia. There was one single outlier that was different. And that one had, instead of four chains, it had 5, which is better on other side, same thing. And that was a whole thing that brought to be noticed again that she found something useful. We find you can't explain it, but don't cover it up. You have to have honesty of purpose. You have to be willing to travel at short notice. Your experiment is not running well. Your equipment is not good. They say, okay, they have it in. You got to pack your things and start going to Ogun State to go and run it. Otherwise, there'll be no risk. Or if they say it's in Ethiopia, you tell your husband, sorry, I am going to Ethiopia, go and run this. So those ones are important. You've got to avoid research misconduct. That's what I was saying earlier. Don't change your result what you think it should be. Just put it down as it is. You join organization, help you. Organizations, women in science, OWD, Organization of Women in Science, NASAC, organizations, they have women in there who have experience, who can, during break time tell you are not the only one who has problems. They too have problems. So they will tell you how they manage the problems, and then your head is lighter, and you can collaborate through their efforts, through joining those good organizations. You can find collaborators who will forever be your friends. I have friends in East Africa, I have everywhere. When I go to Paris, I have friends there. So because you have worked with them, you have joined the organizations, you are happier for it, and you produce better. You have better heads talking to you. So you should join such a thing. Then you uphold. That's the final one I want. There are some local norms. So they will say, women, what are you seeking in the land? On Sunday, she's coming out to do. I used to go to do experiment on Sunday too. I will feed my family. I will go to church. When I come back from church, I will take my car. I will go and hide my car at the back of Imrats in those days because they say, oh, she's here on Sunday again. What's she doing here? Okay, so I put my car at the back. I walk to the front. I enter the lab. I do what I need for 2-3 hours. I go back to my home. My husband is happier because I've done everything I should do at home. He knows I believe in what I'm doing. He knows I'm getting results. Gives me the encouragement. A partner, you pray for a partner that will support you through thick when you are in science. If you don't have that partner when you finish the lab, you are going to be miserable in your house. That's courage and partnership in prayer. Last one is to uphold ethical standards in your research. It covers every, because that means honesty in your work and your when money for. Don't go and use it to buy car. Don't use it to build house. Don't go and use it for things for your. They say you is for that thing When I got, Lord UNESCO has an award that gives you for Africa and the Asian and the Arab countries. I got that in 2001. I was given money, and I was the only black face on that stage that day. But it was a paparazzi of media, BBC, CNN, every TiR. I don't know how many people media were there. It was the best reception I've ever seen for an award. Then they gave us money. Do you know that L'Oreal UNESCO is worth 100,000 euro? That you will get L'Oreal UNESCO award. And then they paid all this there. They paid the fare to myself and my family, my husband, my children. They flew us, gave us hotel, the best Eiffel Hotel, Eiffel Tower. Yes, we enjoyed it. And that opened your vista to the world that yes, science pays. Now, this hallmark of labor award is also role model award, they call it. Role model award showing that you've done so much work. You've worked hard, you've gained a lot. Well, they award you with hallmark of labor role model so that you can role model other people, carry other women along, carry other younger people along. And that is what I spend my whole life doing. So when you now have to talk about it, I'm ready because I carry younger colleagues along. And right now, in community, my younger colleagues are surrounding me from different faculties. They help me to do the work in Sickle Cell for Life Foundation, and the Sickle Cell for Life Foundation taking care of sickle cell people with sickle cell, doing awareness of disease in Nigeria, globally, because I'm talking about it in America. Then doing empowerment mothers and the older adults, and doing research. Still continuing. We submitted 2 research grants yesterday.
That's
so
right.
we're still working. We are working. God is blessing the work. So I want to say that the hallmark of Labor Award is for role model. We continue to do for as long as I have the breath and the energy. And I want to thank you for asking me about it.
Thank you so much, Prof. You are really a role model, and you're somebody that has really lived a very significant. You've left a very significant mark in terms of research. I personally have I've gone through some of your publications. They are quite very outstanding and inspiring. And I feel like this is where young people are definitely going to build. And if you're somebody out there and you're listening to this particular conversation, this is the Truth in Research conversation where we bring in, academics around the globe, to share significant insights. And I'm sure you've really gained a lot from Professor Falusi Adeyinka Gladys, who she has really been very outstanding. So you can always check out her works. I'm definitely going to drop the link. And also, if you want to reach out to us, of course, we are ready. And anything that is research oriented, that is definitely going to promote research in the community, we are always most open. So I want to say a very big thank you to Professor for your time. It's really, really a very massive pleasure. And thank you once more. I'm really, really grateful. And of course, we'll look towards having you again. When definitely is going to be a series. This is just a starting point, because I know we're going to be hitting it ahead. And our viewers, the wider academic community of young career researchers, they would always want to hear from you from time to time. And I want to just leave it at that and say a very big thank you. So I don't know, is there any other last thing you might want to share with us before we call it a time?
I just want to say I appreciate your zeal. You only talked to me yesterday and you said, oh, why don't you go ahead? And it's inspiring to me that young people want to find out what we are doing. And it's the easiest way you brought it to me is let me just talk freely, which is not caging me. And I appreciate work. And if you it's going to influence many younger people, because I give awards. I give awards to the best female science student at the University of Ibadan in science, the best female science graduating science student at the University of Ibadan. Every year is in the book, is in the something. And then in Queen Square, there where I went, in Ibadan, I give annual award to the best science student here. And in my town where I came from, I do that for all the townspeople. I make them sit together the exams in the secondary school, and I give them the best first, second, third, and prizes every year. And I'm already getting the rewards, because these children now go to AAU, they go to Unilag, and they say, oh, we got your award a few years ago in FLI. And I just said, I don't even know them. I don't know them, but I do it every year just to honor the memory of my parents, because they gave me so much. So who is given? Much is expected. They gave me so much, and I reward them by going back to that city to tell them that you can be somebody. No matter if your parents are poor, you can be somebody. Just do your work, do it faithfully. School where I went in Queen's School, they showed me the way to science. I go there now. And then University of Ibadan made me. I continue to reward that university and a lump sum there for the best graduating science, female science students every year. Take the brochure and visit. Adeyinka, Falusi, School Award, annual award. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.